Well, I mean, it's been good. This last few days, just kind of getting a big picture perspective. Through the eyes of ACC, different schools. There's obviously a lot of changes, and upcoming potential changes. Just to all things operationally with college football. How we go about it, some things that are expected, and really just how we will and can navigate through these changes. Any ideas or thoughts of things that are necessary to help the student athletes, the programs, college football just as an entire entity of just trying to push it forward and making sure that we're seeing the growth of student athletes to getting degrees, making sure that we're representing the programs, the universities the right way, and then continuing to build the brand of the ACC and all things that we're doing. So it's a wide range, big spectrum, a lot of different conversations and opinions, and I thought it was a good couple days of meetings.
Is the House a big part of the conversation?
Yeah, it is, yes, because it obviously is going to guide the landscape of where we're going moving forward, and really positive of what we think will happen, and still some final steps that have to take place, but it's a big part of if, when, of what that looks like.
Do you have an opinion on portal window? I've heard some buzz about maybe a late spring one.
I was as a AFCA, in January, had a unanimous vote that for a January window. But yeah, I think it's critical for there to be one window, as really for everybody. For student athletes, for programs, when that is, I think we all have a willingness, a flexibility for what is best, and when you look at players being able to get into classes, when you look at what it is for schools, when you look at best timing, you look at players being able to go through and continue to track towards getting degrees and being able to matriculate that. I think there is a little bit of flexibility when it comes to the coach's perspective of when that timing is, and really probably some leeway on that end, but really trying to have a focus on the one window.
Yeah. I know you've been buzzing about what the future of the playoff would look like, and all of it, Florida State a couple of years ago would have benefited from a guaranteed fit in the playoff, but I think getting less than another league might also feel a little bit akin to saying it's a lesser league. Do you have a strong opinion on how that should look moving forward?
No, I think that the ACC nationally, and the teams that we've had and the teams that we're going to continue to have, it needs to be well represented, and I think it's something we've got to do. We've got to earn. We've got to show out on the field, and I think that you look at even this this last year, winning record against the Big Ten in head-to-head matchups. We had the most wins of other conferences against the SEC. But those are things that we've got to continue to do that, continue to push, as a conference, and play at a high level, throughout it. But it's definitely something that we want to be well represented. It's good to have the multiple teams in the playoffs, there this last year, and it's always going to be a big focus of putting the most teams possible, into that with an opportunity to win national championship.
You got the summer enrollees. When do they arrive?
So, there'll be some guys that are coming in, as they're getting moved into Tallahassee, but, we have our summer workouts that will begin, there officially the week of Memorial Day, that week, and so we'll have the newcomers from high schools, and some of the transfer guys that will be coming in. Might get moved in before that, but that's when we'll be pointing to our official begin.
Is this? You guys had big transfer classes before, big freshman classes before, but this turnover, there's a lot of.
Yeah, there are. You really look at it. We've been over over 30 newcomers, high school transfers, over the last few years. I mean, I think we're going to be over 40 this year, so it will be, it is more, but it's all somewhat relative. I mean, so I think that's one of those. I think we're 35, 34, or 35. In prior years, this year will be in the lower 40s. But I mean, it's going to be. It's still significant, but it's been significant over the years, and we've seen that have great dividends. In teams that we've been able to put out there, and obviously, saw this last year. There's some challenges that were there. I like the team that I've seen throughout the course of this winter program, spring workouts. I'm really excited about the newcomers that are joining. I mean, we had 15 high school early enrollees it was great for them, and we got some guys that I absolutely know are going to help this football team win games this fall. We got some freshmen that'll be joining in, just like we had freshmen. Amari Williams was a guy that wasn't there in spring practice, was able to help help us this last fall. I mean, we're going to see that in some of these freshmen that are coming in that I know will be able to help impact. Obviously with the transfers that are coming in, I think that we'll be able to have a few of these guys have a chance to be difference makers for us. But it was everything when it's come to this roster is about finding the right fit. Guys that are going to be able to complement each other, complement the position. Sometimes those complements are the star and the go-to guy within a group. Other times it's guys that can come in and they're going to make a positive impact. They're going to be productive. They're going to be able to address a need. But it's a competition that's going to build it all up. And so I'm really pleased with how it's coming together. And now it's time to jump into our summer workouts and guys be able to find exactly what those roles are going to be.
What were some of the roles or some of the goals that you had for the spring transfer window, and that you feel like you guys accomplished most of what you were looking for?
I do. I think we were able to address the positions of need, and then some of the positions of just desire. To be able to maybe add a guy that can bring productivity to a position, bring experience, bring the right mindset, personality, the versatility that they're bringing. So I think we were able to address some needs. There were still, all things that we evaluated, and some things fit, some things didn't. So we tried to be very particular in who as much as just what. I've been pretty transparent. There's times that I chased what that wasn't the right necessarily. Maybe didn't fit the who, and didn't work out as well. So we stayed pretty true to making sure that we're getting the right guys that coming into the program that are going to help build our roster and challenge, compete with the guys that are in our team, and all things pointing to August 30th.
How does adding 3 former NFL coaches change that room or change the dynamic in that room?
I mean, different perspectives, and that's, I think we got a great group of coaches. It's a very competitive league, very experienced coaches, but also a wide variety of backgrounds, lifestyles of how guys got to the point of where they are. And so I'm excited to watch ACC football this year, and it's going to be a pain in the butt every week, preparing against not only the great coaches, but some of the great players we have in this league. And but that's what you want, and that's what it's going to build, continue to build and elevate the brand of what this conference and who we are and what we're all about. And excited to see the results of that work and those additions.
Well, obviously one of those. How difficult was personally the last season for you going through that?
Difficult. Just like, I mean,
when you self-evaluate after the season, what were the things that jumped out and stood out to you?
I mean, it's obviously you go into every year with expectations, personal expectations, just program expectations, and when you come up short of that, you evaluate the steps of how it got to that point, or why some of those results took place. Where can you be better? What are some of the smaller steps throughout the process that you can improve upon to be better? And we've done it at a very high level. I mean, I'm going to my 10th year of being a head coach, and 4 of those seasons are 10-win plus seasons. Been able to lift a couple championship trophies, and so I know what it looks like. also had some years of disappointment, had some years of having to grow through challenges. Some that we could control, some that we couldn't control. And obviously last year was a disappointing season. So it was continued self-evaluation, making sure that the positions, the people, the leaders, all things that are in place that are going to push our program towards where it's where it needs to be. And I'm very confident in that.
Bill O'Brien says you're a unique player for Keston. What do you see from him?
I've been very excited about Tommy and what he's brought into the program. You can watch him over the last few years and you see the ability. I mean, as a passer, as a runner, but what you don't see and what you don't feel just watching a guy on TV is the impact within a room. And I think that's probably been my favorite quality of his is he ignites a football field. He ignites not just one side of the ball, offensively, defensively, special teams. Like he has got such a connective, personality to those that he's around, and he's willing to pour into others, and that's it. He's been really impressive when it comes to that, and he's not just sitting there and talking about it. He's putting in the work and trying to uphold a standard of what we want this team to be, and so that's one of the things I've been most impressed with. But he's got all the ability and very talented.
Is it fair to say you guys lacked some of that last year? Lacked a guy that could do that, that could be it and show it and rally guys and push guys.
That was obviously we didn't. From all levels, we were all accountable to what the results were. Head coach, coordinators, position coaches, players. All of us. We did not respond throughout the course of the season in a way that allowed us to achieve the success that we all desired. So, yes, we lacked it.
Gavin Sawchuk, I know you guys put out a statement, or I think you guys put out a statement about him. What is it about him as a running back just that can help that room? Why did you feel like you needed somebody? Or
it was. I think I was asked a question. Maybe ending spring, just if there was a possibility, and it had to be the right fit in that room because I like the ability. I think we got young talent. I think we've got guys that have a diversity of skill sets. But if we could bring somebody that possessed that total package, and make the room and continue to elevate the room, that's something that we were gonna look at. And really, Gavin, he's a home run hitter. He's a guy that has shown 600 meter speed there in high school. A guy that has shown being able to get an open field and score from distance, catches the ball to the backfield. Probably the most improved throughout his playing career is playing without the ball as protector. And then when you talk to any person that's been around coaches at his previous institution, known as high school coach for a very long time. One of the best human beings and workers that was on that team. And so you get to add that type of a person with ability. It's an exciting combination. And you look at last year. I'm so fired up about the running backs that we have. Last year we lost 3 of our top 4 running backs. For significant portions. Some 2 of them for basically the season. 1 for a lot of games. And so to be able to get those guys back and what that's going to bring to the room, and the multiplicity of things that we can do and how those guys can impact, and still you'll see the young talented backs grow, and they've got to go do it. And we can all want it for them, but they've got to go get the job done. But I like the competitiveness in that room.
You said in Orlando that the edge was missing in 2024. Did you see edge collectively in spring practice? Obviously it was cut short. You had 13, but did you see the edge that you were?
Yeah, I felt the edge, and that's probably more. Anybody can show up in a moment, but it was still, as we even talked, post practices through this course of spring. It wasn't a perfect spring in what we how we practice day in and day out or period to period. there was good moments or bad ones, but what I felt was I felt the intent, I felt the response, the investment from January, our tour of duty, the competitiveness in it. That's what I want from this team, is that you get your butt knocked down, you sprint your ass, and you go get better. You do not stay where you are. It's a focus of going to get better and having that urgency in it, and that's what that's what needs to be felt, and it's something that for 20 years of coaching, and especially through my head coaching career, that's always been something that you can point to with our teams, and you have to earn that. And every team will talk about it, of what they desire, but it actually has to show up. And I did feel that. And this was not a team that this spring we had to do a ton of leadership training and leadership development. You show up and you pour into each other, and you talk about those characteristics and leadership you have. You're willing to have the one-on-one conversations, but it's not. I felt leadership. I saw growth. I saw development. So I'm excited to see where it goes, and we're going to have a great summer and the continued work in bringing that edge and intensity every single day, and then obviously everything that we do through fall practice and to preparing for a great stage, a great opponent, and a wonderful opportunity there to kick off the season. I mean, there's a lot of excitement around that.
They just announced today the game time for that, and there's going to be so much talk about that game for the next several months. Did you like that, like leading up to the LSU game? Do you like having that kind of a big opener, or would you rather not?
No, I mean, it's a great opener for us. I mean, and college football is different. You kick off, and I mean every snap matters. Every everything that you do. I mean that first game you have to be ready. And I think over the years our guys have shown in their preparation that the importance of the opener, and I see nothing different going into this year, but just a continued excitement for us to put our best foot forward. And as we talked about earlier, there's some new faces, guys that were younger on our team that have really pushed themselves to have a position of impact and influence within their position groups inside the ball. But I'm really looking forward to just knowing what's ahead. Just that daily sense of urgency for every play, every meeting, the walkthroughs. I mean, every bit of it. And but I would expect no different if it was you're playing a different opponent. But this is it's definitely a privilege to be able to be on this stage, that game, full capacity to Campbell Stadium, and that's college football. So.
Will Jason Jenkins be available for the start of the season?
We'll see. I mean, that's going to be something that he is progressing really well. In his rehab, I've really never gotten into what that was. I'm not going to, but I mean, he to say ahead of schedule. I feel very good about where he is. So excited to see where that goes throughout the course of the summer, fall camp. And then we'll see where he's at.
You and Des obviously go so far back, but as the spring went on, did you guys find yourselves walking away from practice seeing what you saw the same way in terms of players?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think that's Coach Malzahn is I mean, he's as good as there is, and so like to be able to have him and his perspective, the things that he wanted to get accomplished. To be able to kind of establish the foundation of, kind of knowing, who are the guys that we have, what is that going to look like moving forward? Because everything was really new to him, I mean, with whether players that were returning, he was able to get a really good sense of where those guys are. We had some guys that were banged up in the spring, so there's still some questions, just within continuity and units and how all those are going to mix together. But I think he's got a really good sense of where we are and what we're going to be capable of. Now it's just about you're building upon that, and I'm grateful because I got one of the best in college football that's kind of putting that together, and so it's coupled with Coach with Tony and Coach White on the defense and what those guys are showing and challenging each other with. I mean, I think it helps our entire football team, and so really excited about that dynamic.